When Clint Eastwood turns 94, he lets everyone know who he doesn't want at his burial. On May 31, 1930, Clint Eastwood was born Clinton Eastwood Jr. in San Francisco, California. He has been making movies for more than 70 years and is a well-known personality in American cinema. During the Great Depression, Eastwood was raised in a modest household. The family traveled around a lot because his father was a steelworker. These early circumstances formed his hardy independence and work ethic. Later on, these characteristics would play significant roles in both his personal philosophy and on-screen presence. He worked as a gas station attendant, lifeguard, and lumberjack after graduating from Oakland High School before being drafted and sent to serve in the United States. The American Army during World War II. He made friends with other budding actors and filmmakers while stationed at Fort Ord, which not only helped him develop his discipline but also gave him access to the film industry. Although Eastwood's entry into Hollywood was accidental, he put a lot of effort into getting there. He began doing bit roles in B-movies that didn't get much attention in the 1950s. His big break came in the late 1950s when he was chosen to play Rowdy Yates in the popular television western Rawhide. Eastwood was once viewed as merely a supporting role, but his charisma and composed manner soon won over fans. His roles in Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, which includes A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966, catapulted him to international fame in the 1960s. Eastwood's iconic character, the stoic, morally gray villain with a piercing look and no speech, was born out of these spaghetti westerns, which revolutionized the western genre. As Eastwood's playing career flourished, he came to represent frontier justice, strong masculinity, and unyielding determination. When he portrayed Dirty Harry Callahan in the 1970s, a tough, no-nonsense San Francisco police officer who became a symbol of American law enforcement and toughness at a period of social revolution, he gained even more notoriety. Because of their action, social critique, and Eastwood's distinct gravelly passion, Dirty Harry, 1971, and its sequels captivated audiences. These roles not only demonstrated his acting prowess but also his understanding of the times, which made him appealing to many who were tired of the bureaucratic red tape and the rise in crime. However, Eastwood wasn't content with simply being photographed. He transitioned smoothly to directing, beginning with the psychological thriller play Misty for Me in 1971, which demonstrated his skill at storytelling and his awareness of the arts. Eastwood gained recognition as a superb producer and director over time. He received recognition for his ability to get performers to provide powerful performances, his efficient shooting methods, and his emotional control. He appeared in and directed a number of critically acclaimed films, such as Unforgiven, 1992, which solidified his status as one of the greatest filmmakers of our time and earned him the Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director. In Unforgiven, the Western genre was reimagined, presenting a more morally complex and introspective narrative while also challenging the mythos that Eastwood had contributed to creating. His versatility as a filmmaker is astounding. In addition to historical and biographical films like Letters from Iwo Jima, 2006, Gran Torino, 2008, American Sniper, 2014, and Richard Jewell, 2019, he has produced melancholy comedies like $1 Million Baby, 2004, which earned him his second pair of Oscars. Courage, Identity, Redemption, and The American Experience have long piqued Eastwood's interest. Both audiences and critics have commended his ability to respectfully and nuancedly communicate very personal stories. Despite having limited funding and short filming timelines, Eastwood has maintained creative control over his projects, in contrast to many Hollywood celebrities. He has received recognition for his professionalism, effectiveness, and artistic integrity. Clint Eastwood has been a politician, businessman, and musician in addition to his most well-known film roles. His passion for jazz has led him to promote jazz musicians throughout his career and compose music for a number of his films. From 1986 to 1988, he served as mayor of Carmel by the Sea, California, demonstrating his passion in public service and city administration. Since the 1970s, he has worked in restaurants, real estate, and a prosperous production firm named Malpaso Productions, which has produced the majority of his films. On December 19, 1953, Clint Eastwood wed model and secretary Margaret Neville Maggie Johnson for the first time. Friends arranged for them to meet on a blind date. At the time, Eastwood was still a young actor with a little resume. The couple's marriage marked the beginning of a decades-long partnership during which Eastwood would experience both personal highs and lows and gain international fame. Due to Eastwood's lengthy absences while filming and his propensity for having affairs, their marriage experienced several difficult periods. Maggie remained with Eastwood during the challenging early years of his acting career, which included his breakthrough performance in Rawhide and his subsequent triumph in the 1960s Dollars trilogy directed by Sergio Leone. Together, Eastwood and Maggie had 2 children, a daughter named Allison Eastwood, born 1972, who followed in her father's footsteps and became an actress, director, and fashion model, and a son named Kyle Eastwood, born 1968, who became a well-known jazz musician and composer and contributed music to some of his father's films. Allison appeared in several Clint Eastwood films, including Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, 1997, and Tightrope, 1984. In addition, she directed the film Rails and Ties. Despite having a past together and children together, Eastwood and Johnson's marriage grew increasingly strained, purportedly as a result of his adulterous affairs and their increasing emotional separation. They divorced in 1984 after years of separation and rumors. The divorce settlement was significant because it demonstrated Eastwood's growing wealth and notoriety. Johnson reportedly received between $25 million and $30 million, which at the time was reported to be one of the largest settlements in Hollywood. Eastwood remarried after a long period of time, this time to Dina Ruiz, a TV news reporter who was over 30 years his junior. The two initially met in 1993 when Ruiz was dispatched to see Eastwood for a program on Unforgiven. After a brief work encounter, they became lovers and were married in a modest ceremony at Clint's house in Carmel by the Sea, California, on March 31, 1996. In December 1996, Eastwood and Ruiz had a daughter, Morgan Eastwood. Morgan has largely avoided the spotlight, in contrast to some of Eastwood's other children. Nonetheless, she has appeared with her parents on a few occasions, including the 2012 E! The television program is called Mrs. Eastwood and Company. Despite their best efforts to maintain a positive public persona, the marriage ultimately failed. Ruiz revealed to the world in August 2013 that the couple had been living apart for some time. Eastwood's second marriage ended in 2014 when the divorce was finalized. Clint Eastwood has long been well known for his work as a director and for his well-known film roles, but he is also well known for his complex personal life, particularly his relationships and kids. In addition to Kyle, Allison, and Morgan Eastwood, he is thought to have had at least 5 other children with other women, though he has never publicly acknowledged the precise number. These include Kimber Lynn Eastwood, who was born in 1964 as a result of her relationship with dancer Roxanne Tunis, and Scott Eastwood, who was born in 1986 and has a successful acting career. He shares many of his father's traits, including appearance and behavior. Catherine Reeves, Francesca Eastwood, and Laurie Murray are Eastwood's other 3 children. Murray eventually located her biological father after being adopted by a different family. Despite having a large family with many distinct characteristics, Eastwood has largely chosen to maintain some privacy by not discussing his private relationships or kids in public. However, several of his numerous children have previously been with him at occasions, indicating that he maintains contacts with some of them. Because no one knows how many children he has or when he began seeing other women, Eastwood has a strange public persona. This strengthens the impression that, even when he isn't performing, he is a quiet man. When Clint Eastwood turns 94, he lets everyone know who he doesn't want at his burial. The well-known actor and director is now 94 years old, yet over the course of 7 decades, he has established one of the greatest careers in Hollywood history. Eastwood is now associated with ruggedness, individualism, and traditional values. He played legendary parts in Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns after beginning his career as a stoic cowboy on Rawhide. With films like Gran Torino, $1 Million Baby, and Unforgiven, he later rebranded himself as a master director. As his final days draw near, Eastwood is reflecting more and more on his ideals, his legacy, and the people he wants, and doesn't want, to remember him. According to reports, Eastwood revealed a surprising list of people he hopes won't attend his burial because they have long-standing philosophical disagreements, personal grievances, or opposing viewpoints. He listed a number of them, including Michael Moore, Sandra Locke, Spike Lee, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, and John Wayne. John Wayne, despite being well known in American cinema, particularly westerns, Eastwood and Wayne had a notoriously contentious relationship. According to reports, Wayne detested Eastwood's frequently ethically dubious performances, particularly in films like High Plains Drifter, which he believed denigrated the American cowboy. In an attempt to collaborate, Eastwood once sent Wayne a script, but Wayne rejected it because he felt the film lacked the bravery that he believed made westerns great and was strange. Although Eastwood valued the Duke of Windsor, he believed the Duke was disconnected from the more complex and grounded tales he wished to depict. According to rumors, Eastwood advised Wayne to avoid attending his burial if he could ever make it. This illustrates how opposite their beliefs remained even after their deaths in 1979. Leonardo DiCaprio. Although Martin Scorsese and Clint Eastwood have collaborated with other outstanding performers, it is rumored that Eastwood finds DiCaprio's strong environmental and political beliefs bothersome. Eastwood has always considered himself to be a conservative libertarian. He once claimed that the upper class in Hollywood was overly politically correct and preoccupied with flaunting their virtues. DiCaprio's prominent remarks on climate change at the UN and his use of a private plane are criticized for being hypocritical. DiCaprio is a prime illustration of the Hollywood hypocrisy that Eastwood is becoming weary of. Although he was DiCaprio's director in J. According to Edgar, 2011, Eastwood views him as a representation of Hollywood in its earlier years, a period that he no longer comprehends or values. Tom Hanks. One of America's most well-known actors, Tom Hanks is regarded by many as a decent, patriotic individual. While Eastwood and Hanks collaborated on Sully, 2016, it is reported that their opinions are extremely different. Eastwood is renowned for his rough, no-nonsense style, as well as his preference for short takes and hurried filming schedules. Conversely, Hanks is renowned for being extremely cautious and getting along well with people. Strongly Democratic, Hanks has supported candidates and organizations that Eastwood has opposed. Perhaps Hanks's reputation as America's dad irritated Eastwood more than politics. He might disagree with Hanks' more critical and untrustworthy assessment of American institutions and culture. According to reports, he stated that Hanks's burial attire would seem out of place given the rocky aspects of his life. Spike Lee. There is animosity between Spike Lee and Eastwood. Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima, two of Eastwood's war films, were publicly attacked by Lee in 2008 for not featuring enough black soldiers in World War II narratives. In response, Eastwood said that Lee was stirring up issues without cause and that the casting decisions were grounded in historical reality. The altercation worsened and became one of the few public altercations between two high-ranking officials. Eastwood dislikes being questioned and prefers to be in charge. Eastwood reportedly views Lee as a contentious individual whose appearance would be a theatrical act of activism that he finds objectionable. Michael Moore. Moore is one of the most plausible individuals to be on Eastwood's fictitious list of no-shows because of their obvious past conflict. Moore claimed in 2005 that American Sniper presented a jingoistic perspective on combat and promoted violence. For his part, Eastwood once threatened to kill Moore if he ever approached him while carrying a camera. Even though he later claimed that was just a joke, it was clear how much they detested one another. Moore is well known for producing loud documentaries and vehemently opposing both war and firearms. In contrast, Eastwood respects the Second Amendment, individualism, and American military. Moore giving a speech at his wake would be the funniest thing ever, according to Eastwood. Sandra Locke. The most sentimental name on the list is unquestionably Sandra Locke, Eastwood's former girlfriend and frequent co-star. After 14 years of dating, their convoluted relationship ended in a heated and public court battle. Over the years, Locke filed numerous lawsuits against Eastwood, claiming that he had damaged her career and exploited her feelings. The rift between them persisted despite their decision not to appear in court. Even though Locke passed away in 2018, Eastwood reportedly stated that if spirits could torment the living, he would prefer that Locke not attend his burial. He believed that having her around would cause him to experience too many unresolved emotions and trigger a painful memory from his past that he would prefer to forget. Clint Eastwood is just as adamantly independent and unrepentant as he was from the start. His opinions on memory, loyalty, and honesty are still influenced by the things that made him famous in Hollywood, despite the fact that he is nearing the conclusion of a long and fascinating life. It seems to me that his potential funeral would serve as a vehicle for him to finally express who he admired and who he did not, in addition to honoring his career. Since he was a teenager, Clint Eastwood has been devoted to his fitness and health. His long and prosperous work has been greatly influenced by the disciplined lifestyle he has developed. Even as a young man, Eastwood was renowned for having a well-defined figure. Long before these practices became common in Hollywood, he enjoyed eating healthily and exercising frequently. His commitment to health stood in stark contrast to the image of heavy partying that many of his generation's rising stars have. Eastwood received a lot of attention from fans, fitness enthusiasts, and health magazines between the late 1950s and the early 1960s due to his toned physique and muscular build. In the hit television western Rawhide, he portrayed Rowdy Yates. His body piqued people's interest, and he frequently appeared in journals and papers about health and personal well-being. One of these stories, published in the TV Guide in August 1959, featured Eastwood performing push-ups, demonstrating his strength and the daily effort he put forth to maintain it. Eastwood provided helpful exercise advice based on his personal practice in addition to the images. He emphasized the importance of eating a lot of raw vegetables and fresh fruit and urged people to eat a healthy, balanced diet. In addition, he was adamant that individuals should take vitamins daily to enhance their nutrition and advised them to avoid excessive sugar intake, particularly from sugary beverages like soda, which he said caused energy dumps and long-term health issues. In addition, Eastwood advised against consuming excessive amounts of carbohydrates and alcohol on a regular basis. He emphasized functional activity, moderation, and preventative health, all of which were well-liked decades before they gained widespread acceptance.